The AfriOne Show, voice of a new tribe, where the Afropolitan spirit rises as we come together to rebuild Africa, Nigeria, and its marketplace, empowering its people and the diaspora with everything they need. Together, we form a new tribe, creating opportunity and access to markets, driving reinvestments, fostering collaboration, and working to elevate and one another with proven solutions. A true revival in Africa is possible, despite the challenges, though through intentional development that drives innovation, delivers mutual benefits, and inspires a culture of ownership for Africa and Africans. The time is now to unite, innovate, elevate with the Afropolitan Apostle, Darlington Steve, on the AfriOne Show, voice of the new tribe.
Hello, family. Welcome to the AfriOne Show, the voice of the new tribe, broadcasting live from Abuja, Nigeria. I have to be very careful. And the location in which I'm currently sitting is known as Garki, not Asokoro. Asokoro is where we do the radio show. And so without wasting much of our time, I think my guest today is someone that on Sunday, literally, if you're watching this, Sunday would be like 4 days ago. Today's Thursday. 4 days ago. 4 days ago, yeah, on Sunday. And so I met Prince Victor Dickson, yes. He decided to bring this very particular board. Let me first of all show you the board. See this board I'm holding? This here. This is where the problem starts. This board is where the problem starts. And for those of you who would be coming to AfriOne Show, chances are you might be seeing this board, and we will start a conversation from this, which is, it's called the national cake, but I call it the national problem that leads to solution. So that's what he says here. He says here, national cake, every bite has a consequence. It indeed has a consequence when we was talking that day, but we'll talk a bit about it. And so when we were having those very particular conversations at the group where we belong together, I could pick some certain interest about him, and to lead to our conversations, he's currently sitting here. One of the things there for me that was very strong about him is the ability for him to be able to pinpoint the Nigerian problems and also a way to seek solution. But before we get into the conversations of today, I would like my guest to help us introduce himself properly, the best way that he will want, because chances are, I have come to understand that people do not want some certain things to be said. Like, should have edited that part. Before I get called to say, okay, remove that part, put this part and stuff. So let him say the ones that he wants us to know, and then we'll take it off from there. But welcome, Prince Victor.
Thank you so much. And
so first in Abuja.
Some things are better left unsaid.
I appreciate you for coming, and thank you so much for making our time for you to be here.
Thank you so much, sir. Also, thank you for this beautiful work you're doing. Honestly, thank you.
We're trying our best, and maybe the Abuja principalities, we're making sure that we find a way of just hanging around you and not get ourselves in trouble. But for those who are meeting you for the very first time, like my kind also, who am I sitting with, and what encompass this great man sitting in front of me?
Okay, one of the easiest way I introduce myself is this. My name is Victor Prince Dickson, right?
Not the Prince Victor Dickson.
No, Victor Prince Dickson.
I think I like the Prince part.
And I solve problems for a living, basically. And I focus mainly on complex problem and then wicked problems.
Complex and wicked?
Yes, these are my core areas of focus. And what that means, since I solve problem, it means that I have to look for every means, every process, models, tools, whatever it takes.
Okay.
Just to be able, to bring solution to the table. But my key point of focus as a person for everything I do, you will hear that my profession is human capital engineering. And basically what that means is that my focus is to help a human being to be optimized.
Okay.
Core. That's just my core.
Okay. Helping human to optimize.
Yes.
At this moment, as our conversations begins, do you think that an average Nigerian, let's start from the country where we are now, average Nigerian, it's fully operational in an optimal point, or there's still something lacking from your own observation? Welcome to the show.
Majority of Nigerians are actually really liabilities. Let me explain. Majority of Nigerians are liabilities, and I will explain.
Okay.
There are two kinds of people on planet Earth, anyhow you go about it.
All right.
You have human assets. You have human liabilities.
Okay.
Now, human liability are those who take more than they give.
I hear you.
That's the calculation. That's the logic behind that qualification. So if you meet them in a relationship, they take more from you than they give you.
Okay.
So if you spend even 5-10 years with them, you'll be busy. You may invest a lot, but you may not see some level of growth in your life. If you bring them in marriage, the same thing happens. If you bring them into a business, if you have a business that was worth 10 billion before, at the point they are done, it will be worth 6 billion. Because somewhere along the line, they will take more than they give. Then you have the second set of people that are human assets. Human assets take less than they give. They take from you, they take from the system, they take from the relationship, but the focus is that they give more.
Okay.
So it means the progress of humanity is dependent on human assets. Because they always bring that extra to the table. It means that in a relationship, whatever they take from you, at the end of the day, you see some measure of growth. We might be discussing the quality, the depth of the growth, different ballgame.
I hear you.
But the key word is that they must have added something to the table. In marriage, they add something to the table. In business, they can never live what you have given them the same way. They must improve on it, whatever happens. So basically, these are the two structured persons.
From what you're saying, I want us to just focus a bit before we come back again on the liability human.
Yes.
Now, somebody is currently watching you saying that, how do I decode that this person is a liability in my life? And if you give us those pointers, what can I then do for me to be able to, should I cope with the liability or chunk out the liability?
Well, I don't think the last question shouldn't be a question. It's a consequence. What I do with a liability is a very simple thing like that.
When it comes to, you can cope with stuff, manage with stuff. There is a construct currently now, Nigeria, where somebody once asked me, I said, the reason why I'm still struggling with the country and stuff is because we have been trained to manage things and not trained to be able to exploit for the betterness of those things. The Nigerian context has been able to put us to manage. And so somebody who is sitting with a liability, because the religious and the construct says manage, all hands are not equal, nobody they perfect. What's the other funny one? They said something at hand is worth more than the things that are in the bush or something like that. We have that as a reality, whether I would like it or not. How then do we begin to put a balance in terms of the negative part you're talking about?
Okay, in context, I'm a Christian, so I will always bring my faith into some, our discussion clearly.
Yeah.
No one can outlove than Jesus. Jesus loves, God loves.
Okay.
But at the point in the book of Luke, when he gave someone a talent, and the person was so good and kind enough to manage to keep the talent exactly the way it was counted as wickedness, right?
Okay.
It means even God in the universe does not expect you not to increase, not to be productive, not to improve. Therefore, anytime you have a problem trying to, and you're managing the capacity to grow, it means you've been cloned. Because you see, when we are discussing the context of Nigeria, we should understand there is the intentional part of it, where you clone a people to become broken enough to become blind, and blind enough to become powerless. Why? Because the state of the economy in the world has like slaves.
Okay.
You must manufacture slaves to some extent to help your economic plans.
And you think that is currently happening in Nigeria?
That's happening in Nigeria and Africa.
Okay. Manufacturing of slaves. Now, how will the people begin to understand that this is a construct and what needs to happen to them for them to move out from that system?
First, you have to qualify who are you. You have to first qualify your skills, qualify your identity, qualify your competence, qualify everything you've been given and ask yourself, productivity-wise, does it match it?
Okay. But after qualification, there is that place where you said that is a construct from the system. Now, you are still doing all those qualifications, but you are still in the system.
No. First of all, don't forget that if you're going to do a qualification, you must be aware. Right?
Okay.
For you to be aware, you must be self-aware. If you're self-aware, you'll be aware of others.
I hear you.
So it gives you a context to now know what you're qualifying. So first, you have to find yourself. It is when you find yourself that you can now understand the construct for which you're operating.
I hear you.
For instance, you hear things like, think outside the box.
Oh, yes.
The question is, whose box?
The one that you created.
Thank you. Then most times there are a lot of boxes.
Yeah.
I do a lot of creative work, so I know you can put a box within a box within a box.
I hear you.
So I can put you in a box. You break out of one box, you are still in another box. And don't forget, in the context of different segmentation of building a human being, hear this word well.
I hear you.
God creates, society manufacture.
You're too fast. Say it slowly.
God creates, but it takes society to manufacture a human being.
Are you saying God did not create human being, or what are you saying?
No, let's explain.
Okay.
God creates the entire raw material called human being.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But at the point you give birth to that child, with all the organic gifts the child has, the child has to go through a production system called the society. That society has small stop gaps. One of them is called religion. One of them is called culture. The other one is called education. So if you put it in context, anytime the child comes out, what do? Most times in the African context, we introduce a child to our religion. That's where we have naming ceremony and the rest of that. The next time the child is introduced, it's into culture, the meaning and the values of what we believe in. The next time the child is introduced into education, what we call our curriculum and the rest of them. So these are the timeline the child goes through. Though the child has been gifted with all the capacity to make the world what it is, but child is going through a production belt. And that production belt in 18 years will define that child. Except that child has the capacity to reinvent themselves when they become adult. Therefore, if you have a religion that is already broken and that is weak, that child will corrupted. If you have a culture that is broken, that has certain standards that are low, the child becomes broken. So before you go to education, you have a child already that's broken. So you have an educational system that is broken. So if a child goes through this process in 18 years, at the end of 18 years, the child is coming out a weak person because religion, culture, education broke them. Everything an average person tells you today is not possible. Where did they learn it from? They are going to learn it in either of these units somewhere along the line. That's what I'm saying. So at the end of the day, that's why self-reinvention is key to all of what we're discussing. Any day you see trying to do anything unique, raising their head above waters, standing tall and being audacious, somewhere along the line, reinvented themselves. Because the consistent and the current process we have breaks the person.
You know, as you're saying all of these, and because I'm a diaspora, and so for those of you who knows, as a diaspora guy, I represent the Afropolitan community. And so from the way you're explaining religion, culture, education, is that the reason why, and this is me, I'm going to pick it from a negative side, is that the reason why when we find an average Nigeria in diaspora, the first thing they constitute is nuisances?
True.
And if these three segments that you have put in place, how then do we begin to deliberately shift? Because I think I like the second one, which is the part of culture, because if anything is going to change, we have to begin to start to address culture. We may not be able to deal with religion because everybody has a way of how they believe, but culture can also be able to influence both religion and education. That's just my belief. How then do we begin to find a way of shaping the culture to make an average Nigeria, especially those who are in diaspora, because those people are causing problems?
Now, you see, one of the mistakes we always make is thinking that somebody is a lizard here. When they go out, they're going to be a crocodile. And that's a mistake.
That's basically, you always say that we manufacture.
That's why I said it's the mistake, you know.
Everyone's a manufacturer.
This person will have been manufactured. So what were you expecting now? For you to survive, look, for you to survive in a broken system, you have to be broken.
Okay.
And so when you go out with that sense of brokenness into an environment that is not broken, it has to show.
I hear you.
That's the problem here.
Okay.
Oftentimes, that's why you see the key word is that there is that transformational point where is the point of reinvention.
Okay.
Because truly, even while I may agree with you that a lot of people outside the country really are not doing well, representing Nigeria well, but we also have those also who are doing extremely well and representing Nigeria well. Yeah, they may be few, but sometimes not too few the way you think. And I'll explain to you why. One of the weaknesses of most good people who are few, why we think they are few, is they don't know how to leverage on the power of communication and media.
I hear you.
So oftentimes, a lot of people might be doing good, but people don't talk much about it. I will use marriage, for instance.
All right.
Most people will tell whole marriage has gone to the rocks.
I hear you.
But you have some very good marriages, very good homes that are doing well. But these homes, most times, will not come online to discuss how they are doing it.
I hear you.
They are not coming online to document how they are doing it. They do it in privacy in a closed place. So to a large extent, it's easy because the voice and the echoes of those who are getting it wrong is very amplified. For one to easily sit down and say all marriages are bad, all guys are bad, all women are bad. No, simply because it's not being communicated. I fell into that trap at a point in time.
Okay.
And I can tell you, and that's where I learned it from. There were things I was doing that when people meet me, is like, guy, why? I just say, well, anybody who cares to know will know. I was not saying it. I was not talking about it.
I hear you.
That's what you're doing that makes it different. Because what you're not doing is that you're sourcing good things out now. It's like your power now. The power of the work you're carrying now is that you're sourcing out good things to tell people, let's model this. See a sample of what we're talking about. I'm not just telling you this thing as abstract. I have seen those who do it. I have seen this thing doing work. Please, can we work with this? So it changes the narrative we're talking on the table. That's where my point of emphasis is all about.
I hear you. Now, I think because of time on this very particular first segment, what literally got me interested is this board that we're looking at called the National Cake. Now, you talked about religion, you talked about culture, you talked about education. This board, by the time we're doing the explanations, and I think by the time we're done, the camera will be able to show us just a brief of what the board is all about. As we're talking, you will be saying it. Now, is this. Has these three things you talked about, religion, culture, and what's the third one? Education. Has that affected us as Nigeria currently?
It is. Look, it affects everyone. Ultimately, everybody is a product of these three units. But the painful part is that we always see education as independent. But we don't get to realize that, the kind of education you practice is based on the cultural standard. The kind of culture you practice is based on your religious standard. That's how it works.
Okay.
So everybody is a consequence of these three units.
One of the things that your board decide, your National Cake, which is what I'm interested at the moment and stuff, is it shows the journey of how it all starts and where we are and what the tomorrow look like. If the tomorrow for Nigeria is going to change based on what your National Cake is talking about, what must happen?
Human mind engineering, nothing more, nothing else.
Keep saying mind engineering. Where is this engineering institution? Let's go there.
Well, because somehow we don't look at engineering as a process, as a structure. If you look at engineering from the sub-meaning, the organic meaning of the word engineering, which means a system that has a beginning, a middle, and an end. That's actually what engineering means.
I hear you.
So it means if you put anything together that has a beginning, you can easily say this is where it started. This is the middle, and this is where it's going to end. That's what engineering simply means. So when we say mind engineering, simply means that we have to go deep into the human mind and look for how to restructure the mind. Because the truth is that the body cannot take you where the mind has not taken you to. So there's nothing anybody can do with the body, the material body. It is the mind that does the work. And there's what they call muscle memory. Every time, muscle memory actually is the secret or the code behind addiction, which is where you want to do something wrong, you have to educate your body to accept what you want to do. Now you have educated your body to the point your body has graduated. Then you tell the body, I'm not doing this thing again. The body tells you, no, rebels. You taught me that this is what is good for us. Then we are following this thing through. So when you have a mind that has said, look, people don't reward meritocracy. If you have a mind and a culture or a system that shows you that people don't reward good people, that good people go out empty-handed, at the point of all this kind of messaging, what happens? You have to be broken to think that success depends on stealing. It depends on killing. It depends on cheating. It depends on beating the system. So what do? You master the art and the science of beating the system. And you call it being smart.
I hear you.
That's what I'm saying. So the process breaks you. You no longer have that sense. And that's why most people, when they go to an environment when things are working well, it's difficult to fit in. Because for them, look, we've been learning for 2 decades. When you come here and say they tell the truth, like that now, that's not the signature we know. So they're struggling to find their way. That's where the challenge is.
Now, I think with all of that now, where is the place of leadership? And I'm still focusing on Nigeria now before we cross. Where's the place of leadership in engineering? This very particular narrative we're talking about, number one. And number two, if the leader construct is not directly affecting the people, because one of the things I've come to understand in Nigeria is the fact that you guys have a system called an autonomous system. every man for themselves. You are laughing. It's true. I'm sure you guys have seen me. So if you look as if I'm eating Nigeria, pardon me.
No.
Your autonomous system in this country is like, okay, how do we do this?
Let's put it in context. I said to say that, and I said I focus on wicked problems.
Okay.
What do you think wicked problem is? Let me put it in context so that you understand.
All right.
Basic problem is any problem that requires one action and it is solved. Complex problem is a problem that requires 2, 3, 4 actions for you to solve it simultaneously. Wicked problem is a problem when the solution is the problem. Okay, I'll give you a context.
Okay.
When a father that is supposed to protect daughter rapes a daughter, that's a wicked problem.
Now
Now you understand the context where that's what we mean. When you have an accountant that's supposed to protect your money, stealing your money, now that's a wicked problem. Because at that point, you're not talking policies. You understand? Because the person that's supposed to supervise the policy and the system is the one taking advantage of the system. When you have a security person that's supposed to protect you with security, being the one stealing from you, now you know you are having issues. So you see, the context is this. People talk so much, unnecessary emphasis on what we call it, systems and structure, forgetting that every system and structure is a non-living thing. It is the human being that brings the livingness into a system. So in terms of the leadership you're talking about is that we get it wrong in our definition of leadership. And that's why it seems we're going wrong. Leadership is a consequence of principles and values. It's not a person.
It's a consequence of
It's not a person. Leadership is that in this community, we have said this is our standard. Based on that standard, it brings up a leader.
I hear you.
A leader doesn't come and bring his personality to subject the people into where they are heading to. Every time we talk about, you mentioned somebody we were talking about in the US that pushed the black freedom. Martin Luther King Jr. Don't check first. It was character over vision first. Look at all the people that pushed the dream. It was character over vision. The thing with us that we think that you can just set what we call a label called a leader. Somebody wakes up in the morning, because this is the work of a leader. There is no mistake leader and project manager. 2 different things. We always mistake. The work of a leader is only one thing. Build people. People will build the system. Not leave materials. Build people. Look, in Nigeria, we have over 200 and something million. So assuming each person has the capacity to solve a problem, I challenge and I dare anyone to tell me how many problems do you think you cannot solve?
I wonder.
Do you understand? So the context is that we have not built the people. And the reason why we can't build the people is that the quality of standard and principle in this part of the world is lower. And it's getting low as the day goes by.
Said so.
So we should put it in context. So look at it this way. You remember when I said the manufacturing process? You have religion, spirituality, ideally. But the standard, lower. That was where you're supposed to learn integrity.
I hear you.
That's where you're supposed to learn truthfulness.
I hear you.
That's where you're supposed to learn all the things that carries a person. Because ultimately, performance depends on what you call the 3H metrics, which is head, heart, and hands. So give everybody all the skills you like in the world. If the person's heart is corrupted, is a problem.
Does that now it leads me to your card I'm holding, the common sense.
Yes.
How do we define common sense for an average Nigeria from your standpoint? Because you have a reason why you developed this product.
Yes.
How do you define common sense?
The kind of intelligence, the kind of values and principles that are so universal that anybody you meet sit on the same level.
You are taking it too deeper now. You are taking it too deeper.
Let me refresh.
Okay.
Common sense means everybody has a common pain. Everybody has a common vision. Everybody has a common truth. Can we live and have that kind of intelligence that means that anytime I meet you, we are at the same level?
But sir, common sense is usually not common.
Yes, it's not common because we have accepted the brokenness. Ideally, common sense is human. You see, look, let's put something in context that will help us put this thing properly.
Okay.
There's a difference between originally who we should be and a broken person that we have become. The challenge is that we explain too much of our brokenness. And that's why we become a people of excuse. Why can't you? Because A, because. Why shouldn't we? Because A, because. No, that's not the issue. My emphasis and my work at every point in human engineering is not to aid anybody give excuses. We should own up when we have gotten wrong. Because after all, how do you change? How do you improve if you want to keep excusing the weakness? How do you build what we call a transgenerational image if at every point you give excuses? I want you to go and check every country that's getting it right. They don't accommodate excuses.
And Nigeria accommodates.
But we are good at it. Good at it. In fact, we do our excuses so much to the level that we add some divineness to it. Yes, we introduce God in the process of our excuse so that it looks as if it is a sacred thing.
With that being said, family, we'll be going on a break and we'll come back on the second segment for us to have this conversation deeper, especially for me, wanting to see how then they will become. And this is a question I'll ask you as we prepare to go on a break. Obviously, still bordering on national cake and all of and the common sense you talked about. How do we become, as Nigeria and Africans, how do we become a productive, for lack of a better word, country and not just consumer? What needs to happen, because you are in mine engineering and that's what you emphasize. And so how do we become a productive people and not just consumers? It's a question that my guest is going to answer on the second segment. So family, please, if you have any questions concerning this very particular conversation, I want to encourage you to use the details that is currently available on the screen and let's get talking. If you're enjoying the conversations with Victor Prince, what's that one again? Dickson. I actually wanted to start from Prince Victor. But you see, we need to follow the thing is not going to work. If you have a question that you want to ask, or maybe you want to consult him, he's a consultant, a very good one. And concerning engineering your mind for you to become a productive person, please use the email available on the screen, and we will try everything possible for us to be able to link you up with him. Whether I like it or not, Nigeria must become great, and it starts with you and I. I'll see you just now.
The AfriOne Show. Voice of a new tribe.
All right, family, welcome back again to the second segment of the show. I remain your host, the Afropolitan Apostle. I'm sitting with Victor Prince Dickson, who is, I'll use for now, you pardon me for me to use the word human engineer. His man is genetically engineering everything that I need. And I think, to be very honest with the conversations we're having, is one of the things that we were discussing inside, and also you mentioned it, where I am slow at bringing people on AfriOne Show, because I'm sick and tired and sick of just a normal rhetoric that is currently going out there that is making Nigeria first look as if we are brain drained. Number two, also to make it look as if Africans, we cannot produce. Now, with that being said, the question I asked when we went on the break is, how do we begin to re-engineer? I don't know how you want to take it, because I'm going to leave you because that's your field and stuff. Re-engineer that our country, Nigeria, almost, you know what is happening within the financial sector. Literally, if somebody sneezes, they'll tell you that the sneeze is because dollars has gone high. I see. I'm sorry to say this, Africans listening to me currently. I don't know about your country, but literally right now, sitting today, what's the date of today? 7th of August. Nigeria literally has an access for you to have an account with foreign currency in your bank. I don't understand that from the country which I come from. I remember when they were opening my account, they asked me, do you want euro, pounds, and dollars? I said, are you okay? Which currency are you using in Nigeria? They say dollars. So, what is pounds and dollars again doing and stuff? So all of that just usually confused me. And as I'm saying this based on the productivity side of things, if productivity would happen in Nigeria, where we stop being just a consumer. I'm not saying you won't eat food and all of those things, but let's have a mindset of being a productive people other than consuming. What must happen in the average minds of a Nigeria?
So let's use the principles of problem solving so that we take it accordingly, right?
Okay.
Like they said, how do you eat the elephant? You start eating one bite at a time.
Okay.
First, you need to know that Nigeria and Africa generally, we are going through what they call the circle of death.
Circle of
death.
Go deeper.
Yes, circle of death is a phenomenon in the ant world. Now, normally, if you look at the ant has what they call pheromone.
Okay.
So anytime they go in search for food and the rest, you always see one long line like that. It's not because they see the pathway. They have a particular smell and scent that the soldiers in front need to release so that it guides the ants to be following. So no matter how far they've gone, as long as that scent is there, the other ants will always follow through. And that is why, if you notice, if you mistakenly use your leg to just spoil that pathway, you tend to see that they are scattered. Why? Because it's that smell they are going after. So they keep going round. What they are looking for is that smell. So they keep going round. And sometimes they can do that until they die. That's what you call the circle of death. Now, why I said that part of our challenges is what you call the circle of death is that no country succeeds without a vision. And I dare anyone to tell me what is the Nigerian dream vision. Give me one picture. I should ask you because I just came up with this. I'm telling you how bad this thing is.
Wow.
We don't have one clear, distinctive image that you see. You ask an average young Nigerian, he will tell you this is what needs to happen in the next 100 years. Without that clarity, what do you think happens? The people don't know what to look at. They don't know what to bring their energy into. They don't know how to bring their capacity into. And when there is no dream, look, even the Bible will say it. When there is no dream, perishing is a consequence. There's nothing anybody can do about it. You can argue, blame the economy, the dollars. No, it's a consequence. Because you see, life is a sequence. It has a 1, 2, 3, 4. If you miss 1, 2, 3, 4 must happen because you didn't put it together. So that's first thing we have to understand in principle. Secondly, you don't build a country without first building your people. The people make the country. It's not the country that makes the people. That's a mistake we make. We think Nigeria will make Nigerians or Africa will make Africans. No, Nigerians make Nigeria. Africans make Africa. So that's why if an individual have a problem with vision, if a community have a problem with vision, it will affect every other thing that happens. I'll give a practical example in my journey in nationality. If you ask me what's the problem of Nigeria now, I'll tell you one of the biggest problems of Nigeria is Nigerians are not in good terms with Nigeria.
Nigerians
are not in good terms with Nigeria. Yes. Nigeria are not in cohesion and in harmony with the geography, the policy, everything that you call Nigeria as a nation.
I hear you.
So because of that, it's a simple logic of husband and wife. If the husband and the wife are not in good terms, what happens in the home? Everything goes wrong. The children, parenting suffers. Every other thing is the same thing that Nigeria is going through. So we have to find that harmony and bring them back. But you can't bring them back except you restore back to the average Nigerian identity. So the average Nigerian needs to find out, where am I coming from? Where am I now? Where am I heading to? But unfortunately, it did something very damaging to us. You see, don't forget that key strategic structures: religion, culture, education. Let's reverse engineer. Start with education. Most of the popular kind of education that is going very fast in Nigeria, that the people who go through that particular process or model are very vocal. People hear them more, are what you call private schools. Private school run foreign curriculum.
I was about
the UK, the US. So it means from age 3, 4, 5, you introduce a Nigerian child to Abraham Lincoln. You're introducing a Nigerian child to Winston Churchill. You're telling the child about what happened with the Confederate Army. You're telling them how they fought and built the America. The first time the child is seeing innovation is by a white skin. The first time the child is seeing creativity is by a white skin. At the point you're done, now the best developmental part of every young person is from 3 to 11, 12. Anything you seek in them largely is going to be the ideology for life, except they reinvent themselves.
So that means that's the reason why an average Nigerian wants to Japa.
Now you understand. So Japa is not an event. Japa is a consequences of our educational system. So you build that Nigeria. So before the child is 13 years old, what the child sees as the greatest miracle can only happen in the US, in Canada, and the rest of them. Now, you see what I remember I told you about religion, and how do you connect it to religion? That's where people do testimony with. Go check. One of the best testimony you see is I got a visa.
As I said, it's the largest export in currency in Japan.
That's why I'm straining so that you understand how this thing at a software level handle the hardware called the human being.
Where is the place of the religious sect? And I'm going to narrow it down to us as Christian, because the religion obviously covers everybody. We can't be able to control the place where we are not functioning.
True.
Where is the place of religion, which is the Christianity, so-called fraternity? How then do we begin to adjust this mindset? Because I choose to believe, and this is my personal opinion, that if any change would have to happen, literally will start from the church, because these so-called men of God, for crying out loud, they have at least 200 people sitting down hearing them every Sunday. What needs to happen? How does the mindset, because if you, like you said now, the popular testimonies, I got a visa. And the altar literally approved that very particular one to the point that we shout 7 hallelujah added to it.
Now you understand. That's what I'm telling you. You see how education has religion tied to it. That's why it's like when you go into it, it's difficult. Because the structures already kidnap the person. Now, if you talk about religion, let's be honest. Spiritualities. I'm a Christian and I have an opportunity to deal with the Muslim community. So I really know some things within that context. You remember what I said earlier on? One of our major challenges is that we have lower standard. Even those who call themselves Christians don't stand to that standard anymore. I don't have issues with the men of God. I will tell you why my position. I don't have issues with men of God. Then why? Because as a Christian, so what you should do now? Then and now, I understand why I use the word then. It's in context. If you follow the Bible, I am a strong believer of principles. My rule and understanding in life is that someone owns the earth, and the person sets modalities. If you tamper with those modalities, I don't care your intelligence, you end up being foolish.
I hear you.
So I always make sure I pick from principle to take my position. Now, if you notice, even God said, I don't like false prophets. But I want you to see his next line. He said his biggest problem now is even the followers, they like them like that.
Yeah.
So the problem now, therefore, is not the false prophet. The problem is not even the men of God who might not be getting it right. The problem is that the people like it like that. How many people do you ask them, look, your standard does not match with the standard of the Bible, and they give you reasons for it? How many people? They defend, they fight, they verify you. How many? Yeah. That's to tell you at the end of the day that it's not necessarily them. They can only thrive. There's this Igbo adage that my mom is from Igbo, my father is from Akwa Ibom State, and I stayed in the north. So I have that ability to play around. I lived in Lagos. So give me that capacity to play with the cultural dynamics of Nigeria. One of the things, Igbo people have as an adage is that if you don't take a thing to the market, nobody will buy.
I hear you.
Fine. So except something is in the market, nobody will price it. Most of them are only thriving on the fact that majority of people have chosen to be ignorant. And please listen, Book of Isaiah said in clear terms, my people perish for lack of knowledge. So if you choose knowledge, if you choose ignorance, there's nothing even the God you cry to will do for you. In fact, let me put it in context so that you understand.
Okay.
Do you know that ignorance is a capacity?
I hear you.
One of the best capacity in the world today is ignorance. Yes, I will tell you why ignorance is a capacity. You have to master the act of ignorance to the point that when you try to correct somebody, they'll give you an excuse. In fact, this is how the book of Proverbs puts it, that if you meet a fool in his foolishness, even 7 wise men cannot match that guy. Do you know what it means?
That's people.
So that's what I'm trying to tell you, the mastery of the whole thing. Most people have mastered the act of excuses. You see, you come in, you're like, okay, brother, sister, this thing's not proper, according to what the Bible says. And you see, who should judge? Who should judge? And as far as I'm concerned, my position is simple. Only the weak cannot judge.
I hear you.
If you can't judge, then you're a weak person. I flatly put it that way.
I hear you.
Weak. What the Bible said in the book of Matthew that everybody's running with is, judge not so that thou shalt not be judged. For the measure you use. So which means, if you are going to correct me, I also have the capacity to correct you.
I hear you.
It means the standard you hold me to is the standard I will hold you to.
I hear you.
But you see, there's one thing in the world of the weak people. Weak people must cover their weakness by not correcting each other. It's like a relationship pattern. So if I cannot tell you I'm not smelling, you cannot tell me I'm not smelling. So it's a mutual understanding for us to cover our weakness. So for me, the concept is this. I believe that we have gotten to that point where there is, I will call it a rebirth of truth. That truth is what will now make things grow. One of them is this podcast.
Okay.
That's how the journey goes. You understand?
You.
The more we speak out, the more people's mind will be reignited. I will learn by telling you this. Most people are getting frustrated and depressed. And people think it's economics. It's not economics.
It's what?
The world, the universe, your maker is asking everybody, was this what I made you for?
So which means the universe is questioning.
The universe is like, look, is this the best of what I made you for? So suddenly people now have cars, but they are not contented anymore. People have positions, but it's not working. Money is no longer giving people that peace of mind. Because at the end of the day, in the middle of the night, the universe will ask you, was this the best of what I made you?
Okay.
So that's why you see people are getting tired and seeking for answers.
Okay. I noticed, according to your profile, is the fact that you've coached over 200 women. And Nigeria at the moment, from when I look at the political space, you and I know too well, for example, in the Senate House, the women are not there. Forget the ones that say they are not there. It's not 50-50. What do you want to say regarding to these in terms of engineering our society for them to understand that the women literally, they are part of the society building? And that is one. And number two also, how then do we begin to change the construct to make women themselves understand that they are active player in the development of the nation remember, we are still doing Nigeria, in the development of the nation and systems that needs to take them away from the bedroom back to the boardroom. What needs to happen in all of this? Welcome to
I developed a brand of education called Woman Intelligence for this purpose only.
Okay, Woman Intelligence.
Yes. And this is where I try to advocate, let the men understand the woman and the woman to understand herself very well.
Okay.
Women are not even in the bedroom. Most of them are in the street of recent. So in context, let's expand it.
All right.
And I'll explain. You see, the major mistake we keep making is that a broken person cannot produce a good society. A man that is broken does not see the need and the room to accommodate a woman. Understand that very well. A man that is broken cannot provide leadership both for the woman and for the children. Understand that's where we're dealing with. See, I didn't wake up to enter into human engineering. Maybe I'm going to give you a little bit context so that you understand.
Okay.
My core was creativity and innovation, and then eventually business consulting. But every time I was doing it, I was noticing that business were crumbling because of the people. Structures were okay. I was meeting CEOs stealing money from their own organization. Don't you understand? I was meeting human beings destroying what was supposed to be a legacy. That's why I realized that we got it wrong all along. That it is the person being healthy, then the process and every other thing they do will be healthy. It's like you bringing a disease from a human being to infect a system. That's why I get all the. Have you seen the kind of what do you call it now?
Women program.
White papers that have been done.
Okay.
Beautiful stuff that when you see, you say you should walk. Because some paper is healthy until the human being comes. Then it comes with the disease and infect the whole process. And that's why we don't see results. My emphasis is leave what you call structures. Deal with the human being first.
Okay.
Clean up their mind. Let them elevate their principles and their value system a little bit higher. To the point where there must not be a camera before I know I shouldn't steal now. There shouldn't be some security checkpoint before I know that I've been brought here to progress this office, not to steal from the office. Isn't it not funny that in Nigeria, anytime the government finishes, we are quarreling who stole more? Was it the former government or this government? We are not discussing who had the best impact. Look at it. Presently, we are discussing 2020, next election.
2027.
I want to ask you sincerely, in all the stations you have heard, who has been discussing this, the quality of our problem, this is the quality of leader we need to solve it. Everything, he has reduced to zoning. But not. They should wait. Let us finish here. When we finish, we'll give it back to you. Because somewhere along the line, we're not discussing impact. We're not discussing progress. We're not discussing growth. And that's why for me, if you're not very careful, you fall into their trap of discussing personality. You can't catch me discussing personality. Personality will bring their spice here and there. But my concern is put up a standard. Look, why is the US the US? Why all this country doing well is that whatever the personality, there's what they call a standard.
That's a system.
There is a standard.
Yeah.
That standard checks you. We want it the other way around. Personalities to check processes and system, it doesn't work. Now, coming back to the woman thing, I teach the woman. Of recent, I've been pushing for what I call the postpartum wellness education.
Okay.
And what is postpartum wellness for most women is that every time people talk about women, but most time people don't know how a woman evolves and how it affects her capacity to balance her identity.
That's interesting.
And her vision.
Okay.
So now I'll explain to you. A woman needs to die 3 times and resurrect 3 times.
No, you are talking too fast. I have women in my team. They need to hear this one, please, sir.
Okay.
A woman needs to do what?
Die 3 times, resurrect 3 times before she finds herself.
First death.
When she's very young, very naive, and she's exposed to danger.
So the first death is when she's very young, naive, and exposed to danger.
Yeah, because the people...
So she has to die that moment.
Yeah, because the thing... Okay, let me explain to you so that you understand the context very well. The best gift you can give a woman, a girl child, is safety.
Yeah, true.
If you don't provide safety for her, in the kind of environment we are in, somebody is either going to molest her, expose her to what she's not supposed to see. And what does that do? It shrinks her. He makes her feel the world is a dangerous place. So she shrinks and becomes smaller. The second, and in that same environment, the first thing she experiences is what you call the woman flu, the gift of birth, which is the menstrual period. If she doesn't have the proper parenting and guidance, and maybe the first time it happened, don't forget the boys were not trained. So they laugh at her, look at her, strain on her body. Her self-esteem goes. that period. That self-esteem, except it is work on, she can carry it on. She's done for 40 years.
Wow.
You can see a woman well-dressed going, a little thing she'll tell you, check my back, am I okay? It starts haunting her. Because psychologically it becomes an imprint. The first time I had this, they laughed at me. The first time I had it, it was an embarrassment for me. So it's stick in the human mind. But that's the first time you move. The second time, if a woman moves herself to the point of starting a relationship, she's looking for leadership in romance. But the first time she enters, she meets a man that really is broken. So every standard she holds dear, principle of truth, honesty, and everything, the man throws it down most of the time. And then for her, she starts thinking, oh, it's like being honest as a man is not possible. So here a woman will tell you, leave that thing. Men are polygamous by nature.
In the country like men, they say men are trash.
Thank you. Why? Now, these people are angry about it, but you don't ask what was the experience that formed that.
I hear you.
So what that does is that it reduces from her that sense of relationship and cooperation she was supposed to do with a man, but this man and all the men she has met, all of them didn't meet up to it. What do you think it does? It reduces her capacity to dream big. So she starts thinking how to be independent outside this man who cannot be faithful. Then we move to the third one, which is giving birth.
Okay.
For a woman to give birth, she has to go to 3 different points of change. She has to relinquish all she is for a child to come in. The first thing is she has to relinquish her emotions. Everything about emotions, she was let it go. Because the hormones come with all the craze that comes and the body shakes. You think you know how your body works, you wake up in the morning, your body is entirely different. The immediately she dons with the hormones, don't forget, the uterus is growing. So you put pressures on all the organs in the system. So the woman begins to pee every time. Her legs swollen up, all her joints and everything shakes. Why? She must go through it for that child to walk. Then there's what they call muscular redefinition.
Okay.
The woman is straight balance, but because she's carrying a child, the center of gravity needs to readjust for that child to come. So the woman changes. And before you realize, her shape and her body confidence begin to come in question. And that's where they get things like fold and the rest of them. She goes through it. So imagine going through all those things. And one that I normally find very difficult, at the point she wants to give birth, she has to go naked for other people to come. And unfortunately, in this part of the world where we are not very sensitive psychologically and emotionally how that thing affects women, we now bring students and say, come and check a woman giving birth. This is a woman that has kept herself for a very long time. Nobody saw her naked. But the first time she's in the lower room, you are bringing students, you're bringing different people to come and be checking her body system. Okay, she's dilated, she has not dilated, and you don't know how that thing affects her because I've coached more than 300 women. I met there are women I'm trying to help. They gave birth 15 years ago. The psychological damage it did to them, they feel filthy up to date 15 years after. Why? Because come and check how many centimeters. Come and check, has it dilated? And all of them are playing because we are not conscious of the psychological and emotional impact of what happens to a woman. So she has gone through all this process. At the point she comes back, we are clapping for her that she's giving birth to a child, right? True. But this is the consequences. This is the problem that comes with it. At the point she comes back, she's trying to find herself, an identity. But nobody, do you have a program that teaches a woman how to recover after going through all these psychological, emotional processes? You don't. So the woman come back. And most men, you notice what they do. After you've given birth, you don't take care of yourself again. You don't pay attention to yourself. But the reason is because she's trying to recover this journey. Don't forget, sometimes it's not 1, it's not 2, it's not 3, it's not 4. It's an entire serious journey. And this is where the problem begins. The man begins to get angry with her for not finding herself back because she went through that process and that identity. So what does she do? Let me tell you before I land.
Okay.
She now move her focus of vision and dream and put it on the child. Is it good to focus on the child? Yes. But because she has lost her identity, lost her dreams, she will focus on the child until even when the child is 18 years and time to move on, she can't. Because that child becomes the only thing she has. So you ask her, she say, I'm living for my child. But she forget that giving birth, having a womb was for a season. It wasn't for the entire world makes you a woman. It's just part of the good things that God has given you. So when you are done with this, you're supposed to pursue the other dreams. But you have lost your identity in the process. The dream has been swallowed in the process. So what do? So you see most women now, the only thing they focus now is the child. The child is 20 years, is the child. The child gets married, is the child. Because the real dream is no longer there. And then they are wondering where depression is coming from. So now why I'm making this emphasis is, if a woman cannot find her identity and her voice, how can she now know how to come back into the system to now fighting for rule, fight for position and for rights?
I hear you.
In the place of governance. That's what I'm saying. That's why I used the word earlier on is, if people are not well, the system will not be well. Make people well, system will be well, sir.
I think I want to try and finish this women's stuff, because you touched something on the 2027 election. And there's a segment that we're going to check properly on this. I think, let me just do this very particular one, wrap this one up. On the closing on the women's side, whether I would like it or not, we're building the narratives where women would have to, whether I would like it or not, find their self-worth and identity somehow outside of the man. I have a particular saying that I say most of the time. I said, a man is constructed for him to work. That's why we see the moment, let's go back to the Bible. When God created man, the first thing is the fact that men were supposed to work. Now, a woman was created for the man. But you and I know, as a human engineer, we get to see that a lot of things have changed. And in those things changing now, whether I like it or not, we need to also find a way of protecting our women. Find a way of making sure that they actually own their identity. Because if they don't own their identity, how then will they be able to meet the demands that society is currently putting pressure on them? What are the things that need to happen in terms of them meeting that? It's a question that I'm going to throw at you at the third segment. And the question also we're going to look into is the bidding for the souls of Nigeria. Election 2027 is coming. Whether I would like it or not, narratives about it. If the president currently and most parties are already talking about elections, and I can see posters everywhere, and I'm thinking it's 2 years to go. What are the biddings? What are the things that needs to happen? It's a conversation that my guests will be touching on the second segment. I'm on the third segment, right here on the AfriOne show, Voice of the New Tribe, with Victor Prince Dickson, a consultant and a coach. In case if you have something you want to talk to him about when it gets to his business, please use this very particular email that is available on the screen or the phone number, and we'll try everything possible. Before we even go on that very particular break, let me ask you a question. Are you available for consulting? Let me not be saying, don't do this with it. It's
people who consulted wants to grow.
Yeah. So you are available for it.
For those who want to grow.
For those who want to grow. So nobody should just come. Nigeria has finally happened to him. It's not married. He wants to be consulted. So, like you rightly said, if you want to be consulted and you want to be engineered, and this is one of the things I like about what he's doing, is the fact that if you can change, every other things can change. That's the simple. If you as a person can change, every other things can change. I'll be right back on the final segment right here on the AfriOne show with your Afropolitan apostle, Darlington Steve.
The AfriOne show, Voice of a New Tribe.
Hello, family. Welcome back again to the final segment on Voice of the New Tribe Nigerian Special. I'm still sitting with Victor Prince Dickson. I think I have to be very careful. I don't know. I still like the Prince part. I think just to do a preamble around that side. What happened to the Prince?
It's my father that is a prince. I didn't end up climbing the throne. So, in this context.
So let me think for you. You're not interested about that. Because I'm expecting it to be Prince Victor Dickson. But you keep confusing me about, okay, so it's Victor Prince Dickson. And so he is a human engineer. And I'm also a consultant, a coach. He's a business coach also. So in case these conversations we're having, it's just the fact that I needed us to talk about all things engineering the Nigerian mindset, because it's literally affecting us globally. And like you rightly says on one of the segments, where there are still a lot of good Nigerians that are doing stuff, but whether I would like it or not, if one rotten egg bust, the remaining 29 is a problem. And so we need to re-engineer to make sure that we start telling stories from Nigeria here that will then make the global world to understand that we still have brains in Nigeria and not just what the so-called president call it, a shithole country. Pardon that very particular word, because that's how he said it. So we need to put that very particular one. When we went on break, we were talking about two things. I think let me start from the first one, which is how will the woman be able to engineer the mindset? Obviously, understanding that you can't be able to give us all the points, because I want them definitely for them to come and consult. So if you have like 5 points, give us 2. The remaining 3, they come and ask, and you will pay. I believe in paying. That's one of the things. freebies, you don't get anything important with freebies. And that's the culture in which I was brought up. So I don't understand when I see free events. I'm like, why? But well, that's Nigeria. I think maybe we'll explain that part when the conversation is going ahead. For now, I don't understand, but I'm still learning as to why most of the events is freebies in this country. I'm like, Darlington, ask the questions, I hear no lies. So that's one. So how will the woman begin to find herself to re-engineer themselves? One, outside of the man. I know that is hard, but we have to start having a lot of women that are doing things with no man present. That's one. Then number two, also, how will that very particular woman be able to say, okay, fine, if I'm going to be able to move from this point to this point, this is what needs to happen. Let's shoot before we go talk about bidding for the souls of Nigeria.
It's not possible for the woman to do things without the man. Let's be clear about that.
No, you need to say it and look at it.
Yes, it's not possible for the woman to do things without the man. And I'll give you a context. Remember what I said earlier on when we started this thing?
I'm laughing. You already said so. The ladies are already shaking their head.
They can say. But if you remember what I said earlier on,
okay.
Any smart, wise person knows you don't build something on nothing. That's the issue. Now, what do you call it? The Beijing conference tried it. And at the end of the day, there's disaster everywhere.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. So I'm not talking about what I like or what I feel like. No. I'm telling you what I know is true.
Okay.
The logic originally from the beginning was this. From a Christian perspective, when you see what the Bible talks, using the marriage context, it said, for this reason, a man and a woman shall. But they didn't tell us the reason there. It just said for this reason. There was no reason there. You have to go to the book of Malachi before you see it. It says, for this reason, I brought you that you may raise for me godly children.
Okay.
Fine. So if you put it in structure, godly children, then partnership.
Okay.
Nobody builds anything of youth without partnership. So in principle, marriage originally is a sacred partnership that is lifetime based.
Okay.
Do you understand the context?
Yes, sir.
Now also, if you check, for those who understand the context, if you discuss the issue of marriage, you always hear the issue of one chaste and 1,000 true chaste. Where did the 8,000 come? It's the 8,000 that comes from collaboration and from partnership.
Okay.
Fine. So at the end of the day, the challenge we have is that if you like groom a woman, which is what the Beijing conference eventually offloaded over, by building the woman, she's not living in mass. She's living in a world where she's going to have a son, has a father, have a brother. Do you understand? Have a colleague who is a man. And if all these people are irresponsible, what do you think happens to her? Are you not seeing the woman build crash? Are you not seeing the woman build so well in the world, independent, and then one foolish guy will come and just kill her for nothing? Are you not seeing that? That's what I'm saying. We're not looking at it holistically. We're just being emotional. The truth for me is this. We can't run away from the fact. Let's fix men. That's my own. Fix the man. Men, fix the man, then you are not talking, because the idea is this. The women will have to operate in an environment. That environment, there are men. Whether you like it or not, there is no chain, there is no security on earth that will make a woman not find herself either related or, find herself attracted to one man at a point or the other.
True.
Today, are you not seeing a new culture we have built? A woman take her stand, sacrifice, build an empire and go. She's 40, 50 years, and at the end, she pick one young guy of 30 years, and the guy messes up the entire process.
Okay.
I'm talking about process system. I'm not talking about what we feel like happening. I'm talking about what is sustainable.
Okay.
Fine. I can never fight nature and principle. I don't.
I hear you.
Whatever I know must always sit within what the nature gives us.
I hear you.
How do we repair and fix it? Not to run away from it. I grew up learning when there's a problem, you fix, you don't throw it away.
Okay.
So for me, my only way to help women are doing a lot. I do a lot of training. Women are coming. Most of my people I do business consultants for are women. National cake. The first person to invest is a woman. So I know what I'm saying.
I hear you.
But the context is this. What we are doing is that we are pampering the men to be responsible. And we are fixing the women. And then when we are done fixing them, they wake up and go and fall in love with an irresponsible man. And then the whole fixing will go down the drain. Tell me what's the wisdom about it.
So what now needs to change for the woman?
For me, what needs to be changed, let the woman first. She has one power that women don't use. That's where my problem is, actually.
What is that?
The problem women use. Have you ever wondered why they say the woman proposal? Do you know why they call it proposal to a woman?
Yeah.
Because the woman is a CEO at that point in time to decide who to follow. But most women don't pay attention to know that is their most strongest moment. Where they choose. You're supposed to look at it from a proposal point of view. Where I am going to, who I am, my vision, the size of my dream. Can this guy
be able to
carry it? If he doesn't, eject the guy. But oftentimes, this is where most women become irresponsible. They don't take that entry point very serious. They now lower their standard for a crazy fellow. And then in the midst of that environment, they are shocked. They are the problem. So for me, let the woman keep building, but let the environment start holding men to tax.
Okay.
Let's start telling men grow up. Enough of pampering. Do you see the kind of marriage structure we have now? A man is irresponsible. You hear, go and marry a wife for him. As in, hello. As in, the woman came into this world to manage one irresponsible man.
I wonder.
Now, that's what I'm telling you. That's our thinking model that is destroying the
As we said all of this, sorry to cut you, as I said all of this, the thing that is playing in my brain, I remember when I'm from SA, I was coming, the last trip I made. And there's this context, just to address it on the men's side, there's this context whereby, like Darlington says, when you get to Nigeria, especially Abuja, beware of Abuja boys. So, okay, what is Abuja boys? Like, those guys are irresponsible, those guys are this, are cool, and all of that. And now these are contexts that we need to address. What is wrong with the Abuja boys? In case you do something.
I don't think the thing is that there's Abuja boys, there's Lagos boys, Abuja girls.
It's like Abuja, so
yeah, for me, it's everywhere. They have it in different variety. My context is this, and this is the advice I give every woman I've ever coached: is keep your standard high.
Okay.
Any man that cannot meet up, eject the man.
Yeah, but the man was
short and simple.
The man was bring Ferrari. There's a Ferrari context everywhere.
Let's agree there's their long throat that killed them now. Let's not pretend over it. That's where my context is. If your standard so high, if the guy cannot meet up, excuse me, eject the guy.
So which means if the lady wants 100 million naira marriage, that is it.
That's your standard.
And if the guy cannot be 100 million, what
excuse me. Hello. That's the door. Look, it's a consequence. I say, most times we are very hypocritical about this thing. We want one, but we don't want to live with another one. You understand?
Yeah.
There was a day I was coaching a particular lady, and then she was telling me how men are liars. I told her, look, see, most women, you like liars. The problem is that when they're lying for others, for you, you call it love and romance. But the day they lie to you, you call it heartbreak and breakfast. Now, the challenge oftentimes is this. You meet a man for the first time.
Yes, sir.
The man is with you in Abuja here. You are in a dining. And then somebody call him and the person is saying it's in Kano. If you're a sensible person that have a standard, you should know you're dealing with a liar. He mustn't lie to you to be a liar. He lied to someone, makes him a liar, not to you. That way you protect yourself. But you see, the women accept the fact that he lied to another business person. Then it's a matter of, I don't know how long it will take, 6 months, 3 months, the lying gets to your doorstep. And then you not get angry. No, walk the path.
That's an interesting one. I think for further conversations, maybe I need to invite you on a second podcast where we'll just discuss all things relationship.
You know I love you. Except that I'll be careful.
You might be seeing him more often as a resident and podcast.
I'll be very honored.
Yes, I will make sure that we do that. My team would, because I'm enjoying this conversation, to be very honest, because my time is running very fast and I need to cover this one in the next few minutes. Bidding for the souls of Nigeria currently now. Election is quite going on, and we hear all the coalitions that is happening, and frustrated ex-president, governors, and leaders are coming together now for them to be able to form whatever I call this, whatever party they call it and stuff. What should, number one, the leaders be putting in pictures regarding the next election? And number two, what is the average consumer? Because at the end of the day, we are the one consuming this information needs to know in getting a good leader, and not just Peter Obi, Atiku, or President Bola Ahmed. My man was calling President Cyril Ramaphosa. No, he's not. Nigerian president is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Shoot, sir.
He's only an unwise person that goes to war without having ammunition. Nigerians don't have ammunition to do anything about the next coming election. I stand boldly.
Sir, you're taking this to head. Like,
I'm not taking, you see the issue.
I like you,
it is what it is. You can't do anything about it. I will tell you why.
Okay.
You're dealing with the people that have not raised the quality of standards to be able to eject the people that come around who call themselves leaders.
Okay.
Fine. We have churches that still give these people front row seats. We have launching programs that still give these guys front row seats. We have awards that still give them front row seats. So what are you saying? These people know that, look, with their bag of money, you are nothing. Your capacity to set a standard is not clear. Do you know if we set standards for them, we will eject them? I can tell you for sure, within the little of what I know in the particular environment, political environment, they are confident of how much their money can buy. I met one politician at a point in time, and I had to challenge him. What is it with you guys and this insatiable appetite for money? He said, we don't steal for ourselves. We steal to pay you people. That thing has not left my head. And it's true. I stand to be corrected. It's true. You have people who you call traditional leaders. They tend to see they can speak the truth until election comes and somebody goes visiting and leaves. And then the next thing, someone you know is a criminal. You see someone you believe in tell you, well, what can we do? Let us pray to God. Things like this will come and pass. In fact, it is God that they bring leaders. It's God that enthrones. You know someone you know that don't have the capacity and the quality to lead us. The person goes to a church and come back. The head of that church is the one telling you, see, I think you have to just leave everything to God. God knows time and season when the person should be a leader. So notice what I said. You see these three units. That's where the problem comes from.
You said so.
The religion. They have weaponized religions against the people. The culture has been weaponized against the people. And you know the funny and the most sad part? Who counts the election? Education. So, I have learned over time that everything, growth, change has a process. The day you wake up one day and wish it away, that's the day you become irresponsible. You must learn to follow everything accordingly. We have not built the quality of lifestyle. We have not built the principles and the value system to help us edit foolish people. See, if you develop principles, develop values, there's a church you come, they'll just tell you, excuse us. Just say, you don't look like our member. Because of the kind of things you do out there. You have churches where people steal government money and bring to church and nobody's bothered about. What are you telling me? I became a Christian and I learned that what killed Ananias and Sapphira in the first church was simply because they lied with their money, not that they stole with their money. The Holy Spirit killed them just to tell them that this cannot be in this kind of environment. The kind of Holy Spirit we have now, does it see politicians, members who steal money from the public coffers and come to donate in church? Guy, there are deeper truths we don't want to talk. We don't want to face. We prefer to hide under, leave it to God.
I hear you.
So the issue is that when we come back to truth is an enabler. Truth cleans the system. Truth clears an environment. The day we develop and start being honest with what we do, I know that when something is wrong, it wouldn't be wrong because it's my enemy, but it's my friend, I pretend as if I don't know. When we start holding people to account, the system in by itself will self-clean itself. But until then, as long as we accommodate irresponsible people in any guise, call it grace, don't judge, understand, give people a long rope, whatever name we hide under to explain it, my brother. As long as that stays, it becomes difficult.
I think as you're saying all of this, before I go into the African ecosystem of things, what advice will you give to someone currently now? It's I like two things. Two kind of way. Number one, somebody who is currently in a religious circle. And let's bring it down to a Christian side of things. In the Christian, we have Pentecostal, charismatic, and all of the matics that are currently going on now. What advice will you give to such person in terms of understanding where they need to belong in that very particular commission? And number two, somebody sitting down now watching you and says, I want to belong to a particular kind of church. What should a person be having as an expectation in navigating that very particular path? Welcome to AfriOne show. My guests will not like you. If you have the fact that I still have to see him in church as well.
Now, what I want to say will be very revolutionary.
It's okay. That's why it's called the AfriOne show. See, it's
okay. That's fine. There's what they call Christianity and there's what they call branded Christianity.
Okay.
Two different contexts. A Christian, when you're talking Christianity, there is a standard. We are not arguing over the standard.
I hear you.
Because the Bible says it's black, it's black.
I hear you.
There is no ground. Now, branded Christianity is what you call the fellowship centers. So I usually don't have a problem with branded Christianity.
Okay.
Make it 10,000, I don't care.
I hear you.
But my concern is that stay within the ambit and the principle. If the Bible says wrong, sir, is wrong. I don't care who it is. If it is not okay, it is simply not okay. But I have learned this about human beings. Thieves like thieves. People you see in places that don't seem to be okay.
I see you like them. I hear you.
Don't go killing yourself for nothing. They like them. The day they don't like them, they will rise, because ab initio, every human being has what we call the candle of the Lord is the light in the spirit of every human being. So every human being has the capacity to know the truth when they hear it. But when they choose to lie, then lying becomes very attractive. So when they lower their standard, people who lower their standard becomes attractive. Don't give yourself a headache. Those who want truth, the day they really hunger and thirst for truth, the teacher for them will appear. It is not in my place to recommend where to go to. But one thing I know, the day you want truth, the day you search for truth, sir, you will find. The universe has made provision for that.
All right, as we begin to bring our thought to a close, and this very particular last one, when you look at our continent, Africa, now remember we've left Nigeria, so let's look at Africa as a continent. What comes to your mind?
I think the thing is that we have not clearly defined who are we. That's the problem.
As Africans?
Yes, who really are we?
We're Africans, we're black.
You see, that's the issue now.
Because I wanted to be different.
Fine. I will shock you to realize that the universe don't care about your color. The universe cares about the content of your thoughts. As a Christian, have you not read the Bible? It said that as a man thinketh, so you see, not your color. Your color is just a subset of the way you think. And in fact, if you check the book, I think Solomon, this place he said, don't look at me because I am black. It is because my brothers were angry with me. They asked me to go and take care of their farm. My own farm I neglect. So color, pigmentation is not a problem. The thing is the quality of your thoughts. The day you qualify your thought properly, then the world will also respect you based on the quality of your thought. Al Maktoum, the Dubai guy, will say that every morning, that's their thinking. Every morning, I don't know whether you saw this news where ChatGPT Pro, where they paid for all their students. All the students in Dubai now is using ChatGPT Pro. And that's what most professionals in Nigeria don't even have money to even pay for. I hear you. Then imagine a young chap at that level is using it paid by the government. You should know that the leaders have what they have in mind. And there's something he said. He said every morning, the antelope wakes up with the reality that if I don't outrun the lion, I will not see the end of the day.
There will be the dinner.
Every morning, the lion wakes up knowing that if I don't outrun the antelope to catch him, I'm going hungry. So every morning, immediately the sun sets, two people have a clarity of vision. I am outrunning the lion says I'm outrunning this guy. That clarity now decide what to do and what not to do. Dubai people have the concept of what they call the pioneering nation. So for them, everything is whatever the world has achieved will start from there. So that's why when they say the tallest building, they say, okay, yes, what's the tallest building? You say, okay, fine, put the one that is taller here. If you say this is the biggest, okay, fine, give us the one that is bigger. Because they have built that mobility and the concept to say, time we are doing anything, we are starting from. So for them, the sky is their ground floor. You see, that kind of mindset, the young people are going with that vision. It means even the smallest of their innovation is still going to be a wow, right? Fine. Africa can go far based on learning from models. The basic principle of education has taught us in the learning formula that it took Europe close to 750 to 800,000 to find their feet, civilization. It took America 350 to 400,000 years to find themselves. Singapore, it took them 65 years or 70 to find themselves. China learned from them. It took them 35, 40 years to find themselves. Dubai learned from China. It took them 20 years to find themselves. So in principle, if we learn from the mistakes of everyone, we can build. But we must be bold, audacious enough to know identity is not something you outsource. You have to first accept and agree. Who are we as Africans? Then based on this, where are we heading to? Then every other thing can begin. We don't just react to geopolitics and tell you, well, they are doing BRICS. Well, should we join BRICS? Shouldn't we join BRICS? We are quarreling over that. Yes, I know that people like this, Thomas Sankara, them have, laid some chroma, have laid some foundation. But in the context, for me, all what they have done is the beginning, because all what they did was reactionary, based on resistance. These people are colonial, so let's take ourselves out from colonialism. For me, in the world we are in, existentialism is not good. You have to look for a way to be very progressive, to be very pushy in your dream. So Africa needs to find that place to say, look, this is what we want. Everybody everybody's appreciating what you call the youth box of Africa, where everybody's coming to outsource. But it's a cheap outsourcing because why are they coming? They are coming because in America, the cost of work has gone up. They went to India. India learned and then raised their own. China learned, raised their own, and they said, okay, let's go back to Africa, where there's cheap labor. So at the end of the day, it's not necessary that the world have respect for us. It's just that we're available for plantation works before. Now we are available for digital work. So everybody's shouting. So for me, again, boils down to the key word is that, sir, your identity will qualify every other thing. We have not gotten our identity yet. That conversation, we've not gotten it. No, I'm not talking about coming every time to talk repatriation, all this reparation, pay us back for slavery. No, I mean that clinical discussion to say in the next 70 years, we must lead the world, but no apology to it. What will it take us to really?
We have all of those 1963 projects and stuff that African Union is bringing and all of that. So what do you want to say?
African Union, who built it?
Africans, hopefully, built African Union. I'm looking for trouble with the Africans because I'm a rich man.
They just the money to build African Union.
I hear you. So it's the control.
That's what I'm saying. You see, that's what I'm saying. You see, begging demeans a person. Understand the context.
I hear you.
It's not wrong to ask for support, but you see, the concept of begging demeans you. Most time people say, people in outside country, and what do you call in the West, they see Nigeria and Africa as a poor country. And I say, who taught them? We taught them.
True.
Do you know the number of proposals we have written to them? Each of that proposal, because you want to get funds, you have to demean yourself. You have to say in Africa, people don't drink water. The mothers are dying on the street. Women don't give birth in the hospital so that you get funding. And the person you're doing, what you're doing, you are educating them about your vulnerability. You are educating them about your stupidity. So now they have learned it so well. Now the best thing is, let's take it to CNN and broadcast it. So now it becomes normal for them. And that's why most of them, will travel and come to is like, Nigeria is this developed, Rwanda is this developed, because what they got so far has been us in the name of begging, we demean ourselves. And that's why I say it brings us back to identity. Because if your identity is clear, God, there are things you don't do.
The show is called AfriOne Show. Do you believe that Africa can get to a particular point where we become one? Nobody differentiates in us, and at the same time we have a collective goals and agenda from your standpoint.
If you get our identity right, without identity becomes a problem. Because don't forget, the people don't want us to be one.
So are you saying that AfriOne may not be possible in Africa currently, or what's your point?
May not. If you don't do the right thing, you won't get it. I'm not the kind of person that pray on a lie. We have to put it in context now. If you do what needs to be done, we will be one. But if you refuse to do what needs to be done, then we are going to keep going around.
Okay. How do we then, because my time is really running out, how do we then begin to foster unity across Africa, removing the borders that 60
Education, what you're doing. Imagine if we're doing this thing in one podcast. Imagine every young person going to Africa, listening to this kind of discussion. Imagine every school was discussing this. Imagine every church was interrogating what we believe and what we don't believe. Imagine every culture was interrogating what we believe and we don't believe. Imagine every circle of discussion, entertainment was discussing and interrogating our process. Do you think we'll be where we are? We wouldn't. The problem is that at the end of the day, far in between, how many AfriOne shows do we have?
True.
That's the question. That's what I'm saying. We don't have, for the kind of billions of people we have in Africa, knowing fully well that the mind has already been reformatted in so many ways, they will need a particular volume of education to cleanse it and then build a new one. So what we now need is the volume in depth and value of education. Get that. There is nothing you can do with education. If your man is broken today, education broke the man. If your man is going to get it right, education will get the man right. That's my comment.
With that being said, family, we've come to the end of this very particular first episode, because I have to say that when we're coming back, I did not explore all of the things I need to talk about when it comes to Africa. But what will be your African message in just 30 seconds to the people looking at the camera? What's your African message to them?
Enough is enough. God, the universe, built you to be better than this. Stand up and fight for what is yours.
Enough is enough. Let's come together and fight for what is yours. Thank you so much for coming to AfriOne Show.
Thank you so much.
I'm really grateful for all your conversations. Those are hardcore conversations that we are going to peel on the subsequent episode, and to make sure that at least we get better construct and conversations that leads to our continent becoming one. And for Nigeria, I think I want to encourage you people, please and please, this very particular product is will be out. But now that I'm saying it, is would be, but very soon it is going to be out. And then for those of you who want to come to AfriOne Show, get ready in your minds. We have a national cake on the table, because the construct of this very particular product literally will have us start having serious conversation that seeks to repair. One of the things I'm going to do after you give me my own, I said the first welcome, we are not done there. After I give myself and my team, we are going to explore this to make sure that, so I'm saying this on camera just to make sure that I keep to that, because there's a certain narrative that we need to start thinking. And so National Cake is a good plan for every family to definitely get your own copy, just to make sure that at least we begin to have serious conversations that seeks to repair our country, Nigeria, and also the continent where you and I represent, which is known as Africa. With that being said, I remain your host, the Afropolitan Apostle, Darlington Steve. I'll see you on the subsequent production. Please know this. If this country will have to change, like the consultants who is saying, we have to begin to re-engineer our mind and for us to begin to get better stuff. Hear me. African possibilities are endless. It is up to you and I to make the change. I'll see you on the subsequent productions. Bye for now, and God bless you.